What is up, guys? This is your boy Zilla, and welcome to today's episode of UFC Zilla, where I'll be going over the next big matchup coming up on the UFC calendar, and that is Alexander Volkov versus Blaydes. The battle for who's going to be up next to possibly face Francis Ngannou once Stipe and Daniel Cormier's trilogy is up. Before I do that, please hit that subscribe button, also hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I make a video. Guys, let's get into this because this matchup has been coming for a little while and it's finally happening, and I just can't predict which way this is gonna go. I'm gonna try and break it down the best I can, but this can be kind of a toss-up if I've ever seen one coming this year. And between Blaydes, it's just constant improvement fight over fight, except when he loses to Francis Ngannou, and just the overall reach and technique of Alexander Volkov. I don't know who's going to win this fight, but through looking at further details, I think I'm going to be able to come to a solid conclusion on who I think is going to be the winner and face Francis Ngannou maybe again, or face somebody else for the opportunity for the title later or mid next year. So let's start with the fighter goals to figure out what these guys want to do in the middle of their fights, kind of peek into their strategy a little bit. And we're going to start off with Alexander Volkov, the rustier guy, the guy that's been out more. He's only had 2 fights possibly, I think, in the last 2 years, ever since getting knocked out by Derek Lewis. He's only fought a really unexperienced guy in Dan Hardy, who was kind of up and down and kind of a rookie in this sport. So this is his first real, top level fight since fighting Derek Lewis, and the goals for him are to use that reach and to not be faked out by Blaydes' wrestling, because Blaydes is gonna come with those fakes like he did in the JDS fight, and I believe be more aggressive to try and force Volkov into that position where JDS was when he got knocked out. And for Volkov, he's got to keep the distance. He's got to put power and height against Blaydes, make him fear that reach, and have a tough time forcing himself inside, and also to make him come up and wrestle him, which is a weird thing, that I would say. I think forcing him to wrestle when he doesn't want to, I think is going to be the key to this fight, because Volkov has a pretty great technical style. He can keep himself on the feet pretty well. So I think if he forces him to do it rather than having the option to do it or the option to let his hands go, I think he's going to limit what Blaydes can do on the offensive end and constantly have him be defending himself or either trying to force something to get his game going. But now, what does Blaydes have to do to win this fight and try to get himself back in the realm of getting a title shot after the trilogy between DC and Stipe? And I think he needs to get the mix-up game going, and he needs to have good head movement, because Volkov's going to want to snipe his head off and start hurting before he can implement his game plan. I think the best thing that Blaydes can have is a hot start with good momentum, because it's going to be hard for Volkov to adjust if he's not hitting those jabs. And Blaydes is able to get off to a hot start with his head movement, avoiding those jabs and countering with his rights against Volkov. Plus, what this does to Volkov's style is that it forces him to go away from what he traditionally does, keeping the distance no matter what. So now, then, after he does that, he can go into his dip game, start faking takedowns, and start throwing more uppercuts and more straights to try and, confuse Volkov. And then at that point, he's gonna have to lower his hands, or he's gonna have to put him up to his face, one of the two. And once he gets into this pick your poison style, Blaydes can either strike or he could take him to the ground. Volkov's gonna have to commit, and I think once the cycle starts, it's gonna keep repeating over and over in the rounds, resulting in a victory for Blaydes. So now let's get to some of the scenarios in the fight, what I likely think is gonna happen each round of this 5-round fight. In the first round, we know that Blaydes is iffy with the striking. We know that. We know he needs to get off to a hot start. Volkov is going to probably get off to the better start. I assume it's going to be a lot of feeling out. Volkov's probably going to win the round on jabs, and Blaydes is going to be trying to gauge that distance, what he can get away with, what he can't, and really setting the basis for the rest of the fight. Now that second round is going to be very important, because Volkov is going to start selling in, keeping a tight pattern of strikes. It's going to be up to Blaydes to dictate where this fight goes, because he's going to be the one being aggressive. He's going to come towards Volkov. He's going to have to eat those shots and figure out a way to get around Volkov's long range jabs and strikes. So from there, you know, that second round, I assume, and it's going to be really weird and close, I think Curtis is going to come back with a little bit more fire, but I think that Volkov's going to edge that round out barely. The third round, another important round, is going to be the shift of the fight. Everybody's going to be making their adjustments, and this is where we get into the final stretches of the fight as far as strategy and what fighters need to do. We know by that time, Blaydes is going to start getting desperate. He's going to start shooting and start trying everything he can, and Volkov is going to try and stay in the lead, which I think he will be. And from there, it's kind of weird, right? Because he could take him down, but I just think Volkov's fundamentals are too good for Blaydes. And when we talk about who would win in a unanimous decision victory, I can only see Volkov. I really cannot see, unless Blaydes comes out hot and just knocks down Volkov, taking all the momentum away from him. I really can't see Blaydes winning anyway outside that, because in an exchange battle, Volkov's gonna win every single time, just because of his height, just because of his reach, unless he can return with some kind of power, which, you know, Blaydes can. But to the degree of overwhelming Volkov's volume, that is what the question is about this fight. And if I had to give a prediction, I would say Volkov wins by decision, and it's going to be a kind of close fight, but I think Blaydes just needs to get more experience. He's almost ready, but I think Volkov's way good striking and really good pacing will win him this fight. But guys, this has been the best Gojira in UFC fight predictions and news. Please hit that sub button, also hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I make a video, and I will see you guys later.